All right, Sand Wardens. We're going to talk about deep desert ships and crash ships, why you should do them, and what resources you need to reach the end game. Here we go. All right, Sand Wardens. What I want to show you today is how to maximize your efficiency and your resources for crafting. I like to make these medium-sized storage containers, but if you don't have the aluminum right away when you're starting out in the deep desert, use regular storage containers. Sort them by volume or by alphabetical, and you can start depositing all the resources you get out in the deep desert. And trust me, you can get a lot, and you can just dump it in here every time you come back from the deep desert or every time you gather stuff from any of the overland testing stations. It's a great way to stay organized and to keep your valuable items in one area, because you're going to be crafting and using that stuff a lot. The next thing I want to show you is the containers that I use for storing all my blueprints. All this stuff I gathered out in the deep desert. I have them sorted by weapons. I also like to sort it by equipment pieces or equipment parts. And then vehicle parts, right? We'll get into a bunch of that stuff. And then finally, I like to put all the armor pieces together. And you see I have a lot of the same stuff. I've used a lot of items to go through the overland testing stations, and now that I got the graded gear, I just consume them on my character. These other blueprints I leave in these storage bins, so that friends or people who log on who haven't played in a while, they can come here and grab the blueprints that they need. Alright, let's talk about the static crash ship. So this one is called the Deep Dark. It's a super easy ship. Definitely recommend doing it. What you're going to see right here is I'm going to show you where the exit is, right? So you can always park your ship under it if you have your assault. I'm out here in the PvP desert, so I'm going to store my scout. And you're going to drop in the middle where the hole is here. After that, you're going to look for the purple light, and the purple light's going to lead you to the purple armband, right? Now you need this to get into the locked room where the chest is, and immediately you're going to take this first left towards the green door, and then you can see right here I almost went too far, but there's another left right there before the green door, and you're going to follow that all the way back to that purple light. And you can grab all these chests on the way that have different items in them, right? A lot of these items are beginner crafter items that you could use for a lot of your crafting material, crafting items, right, for materials and stuff. And then you can get plastinium and any of the schematics, right? I recommend getting all this stuff, especially if you're out in the PvE desert. Bring your assault and then just dump it in your assault. I, however, like the PvP desert. You do get a lot more mats out here in the PvP desert, right? I personally feel there's more blueprints too in the PvP desert, but not in that ship. But this is the wrecked wreck, right? So this is like one of the easiest ships you can get. They're all out in the A row, but sometimes they spawn out in the deep desert. Highly recommend you go and grab this ship if it's out there. It's super easy. And by the way, all these ships are the same in the shoal, right, back in Haga Basin. So you can find all these ships out in the shoal. They're all the same, but it's a good place to get duraluminum dust and the tier 5 schematics and the tier 5, some of those tier 5 crafting items, right? Like the thermoelectric coolers. Those are for the cutter arrays and static compactors. Now this ship is called the Command Center, and there's another ship that's almost exactly like this called the Holy Wreck, and I haven't taken video of that one, but they're almost identical. The layout inside is just a little bit different. So for this one, it's been a while since I saw this ship, but I know you have to go around to the side, and then you have to find a door. See, I thought this one was the Holy Wreck, because you have to get that door. There's a band in there on the Holy Wreck, and then you go to the front and you grab the chest. But for this one, the Command Center, it's not in this room, right? It's over in a side room, and then the chest is also in a side room. So you have to go through that area. And that's where I remember, like, oh yeah, I got to go up top and go off to the side. Now, there's only a few enemies in here. They're pretty easy. If you don't have tier 6 gear, the enemies might be a little harder, so just take them one at a time as you're going through, or try to take them one at a time. Once you get graded gear from the overland test stations, even if you have grade 1 gear, you will be able to kill these guys really quickly. Now, like I said, the chest here is at the end, off in the side room. A lot of items you can pick up, grab your band, and get out of here. Now here I just wanted to show you some other times where I came through. I got some hummingbird wings, more plastinium. You can get a lot of vehicle parts out in these ships. Now this one is called the walkway. This is actually the most common ship that you'll see. And I'm going to fly by the front here. That's where the exit is. You can park your ship here, right? And then you can always come back to it. If you're, like I said, in the PvE desert, you can leave your ship here. You don't have to worry about people blowing it up. But PvP, I don't recommend it. Now, when you drop in the middle up the top here, you want to go to the back, and you're going to open up the side of the ship here. This is where the armband is. You want to go to the front of the ship. You're going to get trapped in a room with about 5 dudes, and you're just going to kill them as fast as you can. So right here, you see me going through, just kind of killing all these guys real quick. There's a lot of chests in here if you want to look around and get items. I say the items are kind of scarce on these ships until you get to the back rooms. Here's the area that you get trapped in. You got to make sure that you kill all these guys. You know, I have a lot of high tier gear on, so I'm not really worried about getting hit by anybody. And I could just use my guns, but I was kind of running through this as fast as I can, not really worrying about it. But also, if you look in those chests, there's also weapons in there too. So you don't have to really craft a whole lot of weapons if you're just starting out. So make sure you grab your schematics. Grab all the plaid steel stuff, right? Or plastanium. So you got plasteel weapon parts, gun parts, or blade parts and gun parts. Any advanced machinery. All that stuff comes in handy, especially when you're crafting gear, right? When you're crafting all the tier 6 gear, you're definitely going to need all those items, right? Because you're going to go through them very quickly. So the more you build up, the more you stockpile, the better you'll be when you start getting the higher grade schematics. So this is just another bonus video just to show you. You get the shell burster, right? You're going to get those shotguns that you need for the fire dungeon or the overland dungeons when you first start out. If you're like, how do I get the perforator or the shell burster? You can get it in all these ships, right? Same thing with the seethe, the Regis disruptor pistol, right? The high end weapons, you can get all those in these ships, so it's super easy to get. I recommend just doing these whenever you're out in the deep desert. They're super easy. Now I want to talk about the falling ships. So these dynamic falling ships, they tend to fall in the same spots. So if you know where one falls, you can always go back out there and check, and you might find another one out there. They have 3 compartments on them, and these are loaded with items. Now, you're going to get a lot better gear out in the PvP deep desert and a lot more items in these ships. And I highly recommend you go out there, go with your assault ornithopter, make sure you have a booster in your storage. I like to fight PvP, but you might not be in a good spot, especially if you don't have grade 5 gear to fight in PvP, right? And honestly, you're just defending yourself when you're out here. So PvP is not in a good spot. If you like PvP, and I recommend trying it, but honestly, if you don't have a lot of the high gear and you don't have a lot of high points in your skill sets, don't recommend doing it. Just come out here, get all your materials, go back to the arrow, take it back to Haga Basin. That way you can stockpile. But I definitely recommend going to the PvP desert. Now, if you don't like PvP, by all means do the PvE. Don't worry about it. You're still going to get a lot of items from these ships. Now, if you see me jumping all over these ships, sometimes they get bugged out and you got to jump and hang on the side to grab the stuff out of them. Now I want to show you the method.gg deep desert map. It shows all the POIs, right? The points of interest. These caves, especially in the deep desert or the PvP deep desert, will have the Kind's cutter rate and the compact compactor MK6, right? A lot of those, they don't spawn as much in the PvE, but they'll spawn a lot in the PvP deep desert. I also want to point out the Mannequin Manor deep testing station out here. That's like one of the easiest testing stations. You can go get the adaptive Holtzman shield, and you can even get a las gun or the young Sparky MK6. Those spawn a lot more in the PvP desert, and you can run through that in like less than 3 to 5 minutes, especially if you have tier 6 gear or grade 1 tier 6 gear. These other testing stations, right, if they're medium hard or hard, I don't recommend it, especially if you don't have tier 6 gear or better or graded gear, because if you have the graded gear you can fly through all these testing stations. But there's that agave seed station that will have a lot of agave seeds there, so you can do that one to get a lot of agave seeds if you want to do that. And then last on here is the wrecked ships, right? So all of them are the walkway. It's the most common one that spawns. At the A row, you are going to find those holy wrecked ships or the wrecked ships, and those are going to have your tier 5 schematics and your duraluminum dust. You can get a lot of that stuff there if you still need a lot of tier 5. And all those testing stations, even in the A row, they'll spawn intel points. The A row spawns about 120 intel points. And I like to show the PvE loot versus the PvP loot. You're going to get a lot more or a higher percentage of that type of item in the PvP, right? So the adaptive Holtzman shield, you have a lot higher percentage of getting that item. Same thing with circuit gauntlets or black market las gun, right? Or the young Sparky MK6. You're going to see a lot more of that in the PvP desert. So I do recommend going there. Yes, you could get attacked, but to me, it's worth it. And I don't mind PvP, but if you don't like PvP, then stay in the PvE desert. Alright, so I just want to show you the Mannequin Manor testing station real quick. So if you look at this island formation, you can see this little, I like to call it a hand. It looks like a finger sticking up out of it, but it's a telltale sign that this island has a testing station. Looks like it's flipping you off or maybe giving you the shaka, if you know what the shaka is. But anyway, this is an island with a testing station. Obviously it has an icon, right? But that's how you can quickly tell. Put your ornithopter away, but before you do anything, right, especially if you're out in the PvP desert, I was looking to see if I had any metal on me, but I'm going to go look for some metal real quick, and you're going to make a respawn beacon just in case, right? So you never know. When you're out in the deep desert, especially in the PvP, someone could get you, right? So you want to make a respawn beacon. That way you can quickly come back to what you were doing and you're not just like having to fly all the way back. Put your respawn beacons out in like a little crevice area like I'm doing, somewhere where they're not going to find it or easily see it, right? They'd have to like jump over it or look for it. So if you put it down by the entrance, they're usually going to find it. Now, make sure you're always geared up, health, water, everything. But when you go into the station, this is one of the easiest stations to go and grab a ton of material, right? And it's very quickly. There's only about 5 to 7 enemies in here. And you're going to run down this long corridor. And you're going to kill all the enemies at the end here. And you can see that I'm just kind of like slaughtering through. I don't even kill the last guy that's in there. With the graded gear, these aren't even fights anymore. But I was kind of surprised how much that heavy actually took. He was still taking a lot more swings than I expected. But as you deal with them, on the room on the left as you walk in, you're gonna have your ID badge there. Always check all these crates. They're gonna have a ton of materials in them. You can take it back to your ornithopter and take it back to your base. And then oftentimes when you see these big crates in here, you're going to have vehicle parts. So you got, tier 5 vehicle parts. You even have a schematic fragment, right, for building your your graded gear, which is something that you need. And then when you get your armband, you go back here on the left, and there's another big chest over here that will have, you know, items in it. Could have more vehicle parts, right? This one has a welded torch in it. I don't even make welded torches anymore because you can always find them here in these testing stations. And then last, you're going to get your schematic chest, right, which had a solder card intimidator and bulwark pants in it, and then your intel points. But a lot of materials, easily gained, not a hard testing station to do. Definitely recommend going out here and doing it. I was looking for this last guy because he kept shooting me, and I was just like getting kind of annoyed at him. But I definitely recommend doing these testing stations, especially when you first start off. The easy ones, or if you have grade 6 gear or grade 1 tier 6 gear, right? Now for the caves, just bonus here, if you see the island sticking up like that, like a point, you know there's a cave here. This is one of the caves that have the chests, right? These are really easy. I don't even recommend fighting people in these caves. Like, just go in here, run up to the ledge, and grab the chest, right? You have some circuit gauntlets in here, and more plastinium, fluid, fuel jets, or whatever they're called. And then, you know, the plasteel blade and gun parts. I always grab those. I always recommend grabbing those. And that's it. Like, the caves are really easy. They're in and out. Some of them are a little bit longer. I just want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate you all sending me feedback and tell me what videos you want to see next. Please hit me up anytime. I'm here for you. If you ever need anything, I'm always looking to make more guides, more content, and help keep this game alive. All right. I'll catch you later. Cho out.